Hi, Samantha and Akash. Casey here with Constructiva Realty Inspections. Thank you guys so much for having me out. Wanted to show you a few little things that I saw, but let me note first of all, you can see behind me and above, they've already installed all the insulation. So there's a fair amount that I'm not going to be able to look at while I'm here. But that said, there is quite a bit that I can see. So let me just go ahead and show you. So starting here at the front, they're using ply dry house wrap. This requires plastic capped fasteners. What they've used are little tiny staples. Now they might be able to get away with it because they're doubling up the felt before they're putting up the lath for the stucco. So you've essentially got double the number of fasteners than you would normally have. Of course, I got to go by what the book says, and ply dry requires, their instructions state that you have to use those plastic capped fasteners. You got a few places where you're missing some tape. That should be all taped up so that there's no chance of moisture intrusion getting in. They are still working on the stucco lath. So you got a few places where they need to keep going here. One of the things I noticed is that they haven't put enough nails in it. You're supposed to have every 7 inches. You're supposed to have fasteners in this lath. So this might just be temporary to get it up, and then come back to put all the fasteners in afterwards. We'll see. So here above the garage, there should be some flashing on top of this garage trim. Some Z flashing, and then over here they need to have some Z flashing on top of these windows, so above these here. This is the flashing I'm talking about. They've got them above these windows, so you can see there's this little tiny cap of black flashing on the very top before you get to that silver metal flashing. Coming back to these windows, you don't have that. They haven't installed that silver screed either, but I'm sure they'll get to it. That's something else that I pointed out in the report, is that they're supposed to have that silver screed here around these windows. But you know, maybe they'll install that flashing up there when they do put up that silver screed. You got a few places around the structure where the anchors are exposed. So they just got a bad vibration on this side, and so it left this anchor exposed. You don't want that to rust anymore than it already has. So all of these need to be preferably cleaned up and painted, and then covered with mortar. Most of this installation actually looks pretty decent, except for the improper fasteners. But you know, I'm not seeing a lot of places where you've got damaged wrap. You got a few spots that I marked, but not too bad really. So I'm happy to see it. Over here, I noticed that they ran these water lines a little bit high. They're supposed to be 12 inches below the ground, and they ran them a ground level. So, but you know, they're not done with landscaping. Maybe they're going to build this up, and if that's the case, then perfect. All right, so coming into the garage, a couple of things in here. You've got so I noticed that you've got some gaps between the sheathing and the studs in a few places. You can see this pretty big gap right here. So they've used staples to fasten, they've used these staples here to fasten the sheathing to the studs, which I see it all the time and I can't stand it. Because I don't see anywhere in the code where it says you can use these staples. But you know, if the plans say that you can use these 1/2-inch crown staples, then fine. But you get, I don't know what happened here, but this sheathing is pulled out and it's pulled through these staples. So that's not properly fastened. And then, speaking of which, they had to cut this out. I guess they could run this wire. I'm not sure what happened here. But all these seams should be backed and then fastened. And now's the time to do it, because they can still do it before they put up that stucco. So the garage opening, I always see it done wrong. Now it may be 110% according to the plan. plan's not here for me to review. Usually it isn't. Usually the builders don't share that. But according to the code book, you should have 2 of these anchors. Actually, you should have 2 half-inch bolts, or 2 of these anchors would suffice here instead of just 1. And then this strap should be going all the way up to the top of the pony wall. And then one of the big things is that I don't think there's enough nails holding the sheathing in, fastening the sheathing into the header up here, nor to these studs. They should be 3 inches on center all the way up. And you've got a nice little gap right there. If you shine the flashlight up there, you can see, well, that there's really no fasteners. Now, I'm sure it's fastened somewhere, but I don't think there's 3 inches, the 3-inch grid that we're looking for. At the very least, I mean, you've got that gap, which probably has something to do with this strap wrapped around. Anyway, so just want to make sure that they've got enough fasteners at these areas. So here in the living room, you've got a hanger that is missing some nails. You got some nails missing on this side, and then swinging around, you got all the nails missing on this side. Oh shit. They just turned the water on. They just turned the water on, and that is wide open. Well, isn't that lovely? Washing away all that concrete that concrete guy just put in. Oh no. Hang on, let me tell these guys they need to shut that off. So it looks like what happened there was that little screw-on cap blew off once they hooked up the water and turned it on. So up here, the attics look pretty good. I noticed one tiny little thing up here with the HVAC. This the sheet metal should be placed over here in front of these louvers. Is to protect against any sparks that might fly out. And then this vent that comes up here and comes over here, this is the exhaust vent for your water heater. You should have a 1-inch minimum clearance right here, and it is almost up against it. So they need to cut that out a little bit more. So other than that, it looks pretty good. You know, from what I can see, didn't see anything you know, too major from what's based on what's accessible. You know, the roof structure looks pretty good. The exterior didn't look too bad. He's still out there banging on the lath, trying to get that stuff up, ready for stucco. So it looks like they're not too far off from the sheetrock. Once the sheetrock is up, man, you can start counting the days, because it won't be long before they get this thing finished up. It's pretty much just flooring and cabinets and paint, and that's about it. Just a few fixtures and light switches, and they'll be done. So anyway, thanks for you guys for having me out. I really appreciate it.